Hi, Cancer Sun and Rising. Welcome to your October 2022 Astro Update. It's Serena here. October, first 3 weeks, Libra season. For Cancer, this is your fourth house of home and family. I hope that, there is a lawnmower in the background. So hopefully it won't be picked up too much on this recording. I apologize if that's the case. I do want to get these out. So, as the month begins, the sun is in that fourth house, and you had a Mercury retrograde here. So, Mercury began its retrograde in Libra, and then it went back into your third house in Virgo. And on the second of the month, Mercury goes direct. Yay! And it's in Virgo, so it's in that third house. So, there is the possibility that there is some kind of issue that involves, a family matter. The thing that I always think about is like an inheritance issue, but even if you have a parent who is living and maybe they can't make financial decisions on their own, there might be something going on with that. But with Mercury retrograding, having retrograded in that fourth house, and then being retrograde in the third, there might be like miscommunication happening with family members. Cancer tends to be a very family oriented sign. So when you have these situations arise where you're not really communicating well, I'm sure it can be quite distressing for the average Cancer individual. But just remember that this too shall pass. And Mercury going direct is a good start to that. This can also be about like some kind of, if there's a contractual issue with a house that you're going to buy or sell, then perhaps like the third house can be the local environment. So there might be zoning issues, all kinds of things, like municipality crap that you have to sort through. But these things are starting to get cleared away. On the 8th, Pluto goes direct at 26 degrees of Capricorn, your opposite house, an opposite sign. So, I have said this many times during this period of time when Pluto started going, when Pluto first went into Capricorn back in 2008, I wasn't doing this. So I haven't been saying that since day one. But since I started doing it in 2015, I've at least been, I don't know if I even said that back then, but let me say it now. Cancer individuals may have had quite a lot that has changed in their significant other type of relationship. And I know somebody specifically that this happened to. And in that case that I'm talking about, I would have never guessed in a million years that person would walk away from their marriage, which was decades old. This person was a Cancer, or is a Cancer. And but I have also said that I think that takes a lot of guts for a Cancer person to do that. I think it takes a lot of guts. So it's obvious that in some cases, if somebody is truly unhappy, they're not going to stick around, even if they stay around for years and years. Even if they have kids together, even if they have grandkids together, eventually they will choose peace over what they're dealing with. And what Pluto is all about, because there's also Saturn went through this house as well. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know the time. Time is a blur to me these days. But in the case that I'm thinking of, I wouldn't be surprised if it was when Saturn was in that house. Because I think Saturn is, closer to a personal planet to us than Pluto is. Pluto is super slow moving. And Saturn kind of goes through a certain area within a few years. So, it's kind of like this tactical type of influence. And I just feel that some of you knew that it was time to call it quits. And what Pluto does is that it transforms your very notion of what marriage is. And I include anybody who is with another person and yet not legally married, by the way. Not just married legally. But it changes that, and you are transformed. Cancer is a very traditional sign. And so it can be maybe changing this idea that marriage, once you get married, you have to stay married. It could be that as well. So if you are currently married or coupled in this way, in this significant way, Pluto has taken a break from the outer relationships in your life that are one on one and made it more about yourself. And that's actually a good thing. So you may have found in recent months that you have focused less on the other person and more on yourself. But this may also have been a time when you did separate from that individual so that you could actually do that. And I think that is one of the greatest gifts that separation gives, is that it gives you your own breathing room so that you can kind of really separate yourself from another person and what they're like, just even on the energetic level, if you know what I mean. So now you're ready to move forward in this area. On the 9th, full moon, 16 degrees of Aries. So here's more cardinal energy. And this is in your 10th house of career. This could be great for career achievement. Great for getting your name out there, public reputation. You might be retiring. You might get a promotion. All of these things are possible. On the 10th, next day, Mercury goes into Libra. So it's actually going back into Libra because that's where it began the retrograde. So it's really gaining ground. And back into that 4th house. So contracts versus, related to real estate. We're talking about real estate matters. Negotiations can resume. Resuming conversations with the mother or family of origin, if you want to generalize it more. On the 23rd, important date, because we have Venus and the Sun going into Scorpio. And this is a water sign like you. This is nice energy for Cancers because it's trining your Sun or ascendant, and this for you is the 5th house. So this is a great fun area. The Sun rules the 5th house. So the Sun, transing this house. Maybe you're going to be socializing more with Venus there, parties. This is romantic. Maybe you've been through a bit of stress with a certain family matter, and now you feel like you can let your hair down more and have fun during the next few weeks. And it's good for creativity for sure. Saturn on the same day goes direct in the sign of Aquarius, and this for Cancer individuals is your 8th house. So Saturn in the 8th, that's a very interesting transit of Saturn in the 8th house, because that might be something to do with the father, and maybe he's the one who you're trying to handle his money in some way, or you've been tasked to manage it maybe. But this is also a psychological area. So for sure, anything that delves into psychotherapy or spiritual healing, personal transformation is featured now. Maybe you're taking courses because you want to become something. I think of like Saturn as, like, even in the natal chart, is like, oh, these are areas where you might end up working, having a career in. So in the eighth house, it could be the discipline. It could be personal discipline, personal alchemy, which simply means transformation, and taking that lower nature and transmuting it to something higher. You've been doing inner work, and now it could be through taking courses or what have you. And I feel like you've already been doing that, but you had a break for some reason. This could be about paying off debt. Eighth house can be, money that you owe, and Saturn here can put you on some kind of, like, maybe you're gonna arrange a payment schedule or something. Let's see. On the 25th, there's a solar eclipse in Cancer, 2 degrees. Oh, that's fun, because a lot of seeds being planted in this area of creativity and love for you. Oh, and also the 5th house is children. Definitely have to let you know about that. And that can be like either children that you have, Cancer is a sign of the mother, but it can be also children that you work with. I'm sure there are plenty of Cancers out there who are teachers, especially early childhood teachers. So that may just give you more opportunities in this field. Jupiter is going back into Pisces on the 28th. Oh my goodness, all this water energy. And then the next day, Mercury goes into your sign. So that's like amazing. But anyway, Jupiter going back into Pisces simply means that it's going back into this 9th house from the 10th. So Jupiter has been in Aries, and now it's going back into the 9th house, and you have Neptune transiting there for the past 10 years. So, yeah, I mean, maybe there is something going on with that as well that even affected your relationship with Neptune in the 9th house. And the reason I say that is because the 9th house is the God house. It's Sagittarius's domain, okay? So Cancer, you rule the 4th house of home and family. Do you see the difference between the 4th and the 9th houses? It's the difference between Cancer and Sagittarius, which happens to be my sun sign. And so I know these dynamics, and it's really, when Jupiter has been in that house, it has really expanded you. Jupiter in its own domain, expanded you past this kind of this clannishness, this very insular tendency that Cancer has to stay close to home and hearth, to be very into their own private circle, their inner circle and inner sanctum. Now, the 9th house is the big old world, okay? And I'm not, Jupiter is that agent of expansion. So Neptune is not necessarily going to be the same energy, but I was talking about from the spiritual perspective, where you realize that your spiritual life comes first and foremost. Even if some of you have, to me, the 9th house can be organized religion. Even if you have faithfully adhered to that, you may realize that it's outmoded, it doesn't work for you, you may like the certain aspects of it, and so you may not stop going to church or mass or synagogue or a temple, wherever you go, but you're not going to be in a cult and follow things to the letter, because Neptune does not have boundaries and it's very mystical. So if you stayed in a marriage, for instance, that you were doing so because you thought God hates divorce, or you thought even just like the conditioning, social conditioning in life, that, oh, you don't want to break up the family, and you really felt that sense of guilt that you were doing something like that, you may put that aside, and have put that aside, or are going to put that aside, and say, you know what, I simply refuse to kowtow to that anymore. I have my own way of thinking on these things. So anyway, Jupiter is going back there, and so that can be helping you to go back into some kind of spiritual studies as well. Also, maybe some kind of trip, long distance trip that you want to take. Might even be a pilgrimage. It might have some spiritual significance to it. Yeah, on the 29th, Mercury's going into Scorpio, so into that fifth house. You might be talking to a potential love interest. You might be working on some creative project, especially if it has a literary connection to it. And then on the 30th, Mars goes retrograde at 25 degrees of Gemini. Gemini is the sign that comes before you, Cancer, so that's the 12th house. I was talking to another sign. I was kind of alluding to what that can mean, but now this is literally what you're experiencing. So Mars retrograde in the 12th is really stay on top of anger and aggression issues, because you can really feel them. You can really be tempted to stuff them inside of yourself, or you may have to for some reason. But you have to get out aggression. For cancers, comes in the form of passive aggression. And that can wreak havoc on relationships. It's not a healthy form of dealing with hurt or actual anger or anything like that. So even like physically, you can feel very restless when Mars is even direct in your 12th house. So imagine if it's retrograding here. I think it might even be a good time to do shadow work, because even though I usually associate the shadow with the 8th house, I think in the 12th house it can also apply. Who do you need to forgive? Who maybe you need to forgive yourself. Maybe you're being angry towards yourself for some reason that you can't change in terms of like turning back the clock, but you can change in terms of your future attitudes. Um, are you in denial of something? Um, Maybe you feel this sense of disempowerment. Because, Mars can be power, and the 12th house can feel very disempowered. But it's really, disempowerment isn't like some people say, that person is making me disempowered. No, it comes from within. And so there's a there might be things that you cannot move forward on. Remember, the 12th house is the last house, and it might be that if you want to look at it as karmic, um, whatever it is that you have to allow yourself to just play out, because Mars is going direct January 12th. And I mean, it's always possible that you are putting this on yourself, that you are saying that you can't do something because of a certain astrological transit. And that is the danger of these things, is that we might discourage somebody from taking action. But if usually a cardinal sign like Cancer does do things whether or not somebody tells them to do them. And sometimes you may keep trying to make something happen even though it's not working out. So it might be that you do need to surrender for a short period of time and stop trying to push something to manifest. And this might be the best time to actually go on a spiritual retreat. To maybe it's something that you do within your own home, that you don't have to actually check into a center or anything, but you could do that too. But the point is that you're turning inward. And that may mean that you have to unplug from social media, but also from the demands of other people. If you have that luxury, that freedom, you might want to take advantage of that for a certain period of time in the next few months. Okay, that's what I have for you, Cancer. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a natal chart interpretation by me, transits reading for the next 12 months that is actually tailored to your specific chart, not this general one, or a combination thereof. I actually have a package deal with 2 full-length readings for a special price called my deep dive reading. I have other types of readings that are, standalone readings if you're interested as well. You can find out more information at rainandmoonastrology.com. The link is below. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.